This is Sister Sajdah Muhammad. We are proud to announce that the Sajdah House commemorative Elijah coins are finally here. As we renovate and restore the former home of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, we have recycled the old copper gutters and downspouts and created a 1 ounce 39 millimeter coin made of 100% pure copper. Each coin is professionally graded and has its own barcode and registration number. This priceless heirloom, made from recycled copper from the messenger's home, is now available at sajdahhouse.com.
You belong to yourself. You're an independent people, created from the nation of free people.
Yes, sir.
You don't need to go nowhere but to yourself.
Yes,
So the challenge is an education that enlivens us to do business. Business is the activity of life itself. Every creature is born with the inherent ability to attract out of this material earth what it needs to perpetuate its species.
Welcome, welcome, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be unto you. Welcome to week 14 of the Mode Today, or the Mind of an Entrepreneur Today series on manifestation, based upon the book written by Charles F. Hannell called The Master Key System. But we're going to do something different tonight. This series, let me just give you all the housekeeping before we start having some fun here. This series is an extension of my brand, The Mind of an Entrepreneur Today, or Mode Today for short. I developed this series back in 2011 and made it a part of my weekly radio broadcast. And it became the foundation for the second half of the Mind of an Entrepreneur book. And so instead of publishing it as a book, I decided to just recreate the series. So the Mind of an Entrepreneur brand of products and services explores mental strategies and offers free game on how to navigate the world of business. I offer a unique approach to business that combines traditional disciplines with consciousness. I'm an international businesswoman, an industry disruptor, global thought leader, philanthropist, and master business and real estate developer. And I'm striving to become a god and a powerful manifester. So thank you for being here this evening. I'm excited to take this journey with you. My goal is to help marginalized people around the world gain access to tools and strategies that will help us to become stronger, healthier, happier, wealthier, and to experience more love. I'm working to build a model using mental strategies that will help make doing for self infectious. I'm about encouraging the creation of millionaire and billionaire conscious entrepreneurs who profit with a purpose, solve problems, and introduce much needed goods and services into our community. So welcome, welcome everyone. Ramadan Mubarak. Give a thumbs up in the chat if you are fasting. This has been a really beautiful and glorious fast. I've just really been, believe it or not, enjoying it. I get a little thirsty around about 5:30 or so, and I start going, okay, I need something to drink. But then I kind of get over it. And what's crazy is by the time we get to the point where it's time to break the fast, I don't even really care about eating anymore. But we know how important it is for us to make sure that we eat our nutritious meals. All right, so we're going to have some fun today, okay? What we're going to do today is we are going to do a little Q&A session. Some of you have sent over to me some of your questions. Some of you recorded something, but I want to have a little fun. I pulled some clips from some of our favorite influencers and icons in our community. And just, I just want to see what you all think about some of the things that they're saying that I believe ties directly to what we're talking about here when it comes to manifestation. So check out this clip from our brother, Jay-Z.
Okay, it may not work today, it may not work tomorrow, but this is the right thing, and this is what I'm doing, and this is what's feeding me. So that would be the best advice that I can give you. That knowing, just believe in what you're doing, and if you don't believe in it, then you're not doing it. You haven't figured out the thing that you do best yet. When you feel it and when you know, no one can tell you. You only have to be right once.
Wow. Was that powerful or what? Let me know in the chat what you all thought about that, because I pulled these clips that tie into what we've been talking about the past 14 weeks. Okay. You got to feel it in your gut. You got to know it. You all hear me say that you got to know, like you know, like you know. You got to know, like you just know you're getting ready to breathe. Like you know you can see. People are putting hearts in the chat. If you liked it, let me know what you thought. Give me your comments, because I really believe that is so powerful, because you got to move with certainty. You all hear me talking about how a lot of times our life experiences put us in a position where we are buying our certainty. What do I mean by that? Sometimes you get tricked out of some money, or something happens to you and you go, okay, wait a minute. Did they just get me? Did they just steal something from me? But you got your certainty. What did you get your certainty? That you're not going to mess with that person no more. Or somebody who you were close to, you say, yeah, you know what? Now I got some certainty about who you are. Now I got some certainty about who I am. Certainty is very important. Don't think that your life lessons mean nothing. You got to know. And if you really, really, really accept the trials and the struggles, if we really, really accept all the trials and the struggles and the rhythm of our projects, then guess what? We'll get to that point of certainty, and then we become unstoppable. Let's go with another clip. Somebody said, even without support, I will not give up. Ooh, yes. Even without support, I will not give up. I know that reality. Sometimes you are expecting big support for something and then you don't get it. You get like this much support. It's okay. You just keep going, because remember what our motto is. We always begin and then we always continue. No matter what happens, we begin and we continue. Okay, so here's another one. Just to have some fun with these clips. This one is our brother, Kanye West. Check this one out.
Simulation. A 2-year-old jumps on a coffee table and someone says, that's a coffee table. Don't jump on that.
When you grow up, you tend to get told that the world is the way it is.
By the time you're 40 years old, you've got a wall full of coffee tables.
And your life is just to live your life inside the world, try not to bash into the walls too much.
Calculating you into traffic, calculating you into your career choice.
That's a very limited life. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact.
Sometimes you just have to be fearless enough to break the simulation.
And that is, everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you.
That's what I mean when I say simulation.
You can influence it. You can build your own things that other people can use.
Just place a thought out there that everyone's not thinking.
Once you learn that, you'll never be the same again.
That's powerful too. Not only, yes, it's about believing in yourself, but it's about, we always talk about stretching outside of that box, outside of our intellectual capacity, thinking that we can do things that maybe other people don't think that we can do. Maybe moving into that space where we're like, I don't have no support. Wish I had more. But you just keep going and you keep going. You know, one of the things that my parents taught us growing up was that there wasn't nothing that we couldn't do. So we weren't taught to play it safe. We were taught that we could do it. I remember so many times calling my father, asking him, you know, may he rest in peace. a question about something, and he's like, you got this, you can figure it out. He was so matter of factly confident in me that I was like, okay, yeah, I can do that. And I started thinking to myself, the wheels start turning. All right, let me go to Allah. There's nothing but a wink and a nod for him. I'm just a wink and a nod away from this great opportunity, this great accomplishment, this great thing that I've been working on. It's right there. I can see it. And I know that there's nothing that I cannot do if I petition Almighty God, Allah, for it. And guess what? Nobody can stop you. Talk to me in the chat if you like that one. Because we always have been social engineered or social engineering, because we see the behaviors around us that kind of push us in a box and make us go, this is how I should act. This is what I should do. This is where I should go. This is how I should do it. Nobody can tell you how God allowed you to show up on the planet and represent yourself. Nobody can do that. All right. So next one here. Let's see. Okay. So this question is from my dear sister, Yavanka Muhammad. I don't know if she is on here or not, but I'm going to play. She actually made a video. So I'm going to play her video and we're going to tackle her question.
Alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. This is Sister Yavanka Muhammad from Master Focus Media. And first I want to say thank you, Sister Sajdah Muhammad, for the manifestation series. It's definitely been a blessing to me personally and professionally. So I'm excited, sis. But I did have a question. My question is, how do you marry business and spirituality? You know how you see some people, they're very spiritual. They're good at scripture and they're striving to live their lives, but financially they may be unstable or struggling or not have the means in which they would like to pursue their dreams. And then you have people that are in business, and as the minister has told us, that business is cold. So you have people, they're cold and they're disconnected from the spirituality. So how have you been blessed? How has Allah blessed you to marry the two, the business and the spiritual? That's my question, sis. Thank you again. May Allah continue to bless you. Assalamu alaikum.
Well, alaikum salam. Thank you so much, Sister Yavanka. Y'all give a shout out in the chat to Sister Yavanka, who I've known, I feel like, forever. And we got the special connection. I knew her way back when, and I just love her. I love seeing her progress and all that she has grown through. She asked a question about marrying business and spirituality, and she drew a contrast between people who are spiritual, who seem to do really a great job at, they know the scriptures and they seem to do other things right, but they're not able to really manifest or execute, or maybe they don't do very well spiritually or very well financially. And then you have some people in the business world who tend to be very cold and who don't appear to have any sense of spirituality. So there's layers to the answer to that question, Sister Yavanka. The first layer is, you said the operative word marry, to join together, to join your spirituality with business. How do you do that? How do I do that, you ask? I look for Allah in everything, no matter what I'm doing. It's a state of mind that I try my best to stay in. If you've ever been around me, even if I'm joking around and telling jokes, Allah is still at the forefront. So if I'm reviewing a business plan, I'm looking for Allah there. If I'm trying to make a decision between one vendor over another, I'm looking for Allah there. If I decide, how am I going to dress today to go in front of this particular client, then I'm looking for Allah in the way I represent. I'm looking for him in the way the person speaks back to me. I'm looking for him in the way that their face is constructed, in the way the building looks. I'm looking for Allah even down to trying to get a parking spot. I'm like, okay, Allah, I need a good parking spot. So he's always there and always involved. And so I even gone to the point where one of my primary prayers is asking Allah if my very breath can be a prayer of gratitude to him. So that's that foundational layer to the answer to that question. Okay, then you mentioned that you have some people on the one hand who are super spiritual, and maybe you don't see them manifesting in a certain way. And then you have other people who are really successful in business and they seem like they're not spiritual. So let's tackle the person who is successful in business who seems like they're not spiritual. There's a couple things with that. First, it depends on what your primary process is when you're practicing business. Are you a predatory capitalist, or are you a conscious entrepreneur or a spiritual person in business? How do you know that? A lot of times that's not a conscious thing. Most people are following some rules or some way of doing business that they learn, like either in school or at their last corporate job. Some people are mimicking business concepts that they see in their neighborhood. Maybe the only successful person they saw when they were growing up was a pimp. Maybe the only successful people they saw when they were growing up were drug dealers. And so they mimic that style of doing business when they come over into the corporate world or into the business world. So even if they're just selling socks on the corner, the script that is playing in their mind is the script that they learned from the pimps and the hustlers on the streets. Or maybe they didn't learn anything at all, and the only thing they know about money is just watching their parents get up and go to work and go through a bunch of stuff to get that paycheck and to take care of the household expenses. So all of that is based on some foundation and some model that we're mimicking, if you will. And oftentimes that's what puts us in a position where we're not able to execute and we're not able to manifest because our business model is wrong. Our way of doing things is wrong. Our way of thinking about something is wrong. A lot of times it's some predator that we are copying off of or we're mimicking when it comes to doing business. That's one part of it. The model, our behavior, how we handle ourselves may be wrong. The other layer to that is our money psychology. What did we learn about money and business growing up? Money don't grow on trees. Money is the root of all evil. We talk, if you remember, I think it was part week 1 or 2 in the class about how to change that psychology. Because at the end of the day, do we worship money? Absolutely not. Do we make excuses for wanting a lot of money? Absolutely not. Here on the Mind of an Entrepreneurship, the conscious entrepreneurs, we want money. We want a lot of money. We go after it. We make sure that we do that in a conscious way. Why? Because money gives us choices. There is no spook God. So when you start thinking about trying to live a healthy, clean, and righteous life, it costs money. See, it's cheaper to go into the store and pick up a quick mini skirt and a tank top than it is to wear custom garments, to go into Neiman Marcus and find a cashmere sweater that covers, to wear a uniform, to have somebody custom designing your clothes so that you look more respectful. That costs more money. So you need money. You can't diss money and you can't be a hypocrite about money and want it and need it on one end and curse it out on the other end. Right? If you have health issues, if you have no money, then you're going to be relegated to whatever services, whatever healthcare program, whatever insurance is free. So if whatever that free insurance is, whatever they offer you, in most cases, it's the bare minimum because it's not designed to make you a healthy, thriving person. It's really designed to just put a Band-Aid on your problem. It's really an emergency system. And some of us mix up and think, okay, I got Medicaid, but really it's an emergency system. It's not designed to hook you up and let you get access to some fancy procedure. Unless you get lucky and you're blessed and you go into a hospital and they say, hey, we're going to give this to you anyway. So what does money do for you in that particular situation? It means that you can have a choice on the type of doctor you go to. You can afford your medication. You don't have to get the generic. You don't have to decide that you don't want to take your medication. You can afford the top doctor or a better doctor than what the basic public health insurance will offer you. Choices. Let's talk about education. If you have a child and you have no money, then you likely are going to send your children to the public school system, which now we know systemically gave up teaching students a long time ago. Or you can say, I need to be able to pay tuition. I want to send my child to a special charter school or to Muhammad University of Islam. See, money gives you choices because the free system gives you that limited access to resources. So don't be a hypocrite about money. Money hates hypocrites. And oftentimes, those of us that are highly spiritual, we tend to be very hypocritical about money. We don't like other people that have money. We feel like it's evil. We feel guilty about making money. And it's difficult, I know, because business can be very cold. As the minister said, it can be so cold. That's why here on the Mind of an Entrepreneur movement, we talk about having a certain level of integrity, about creating an ecosystem, learning how to teach people how to treat you, putting your money behind respect and consciousness. So you don't have to go somewhere where they treat you coldly or disregard your needs or wants or poison you or kill you. Let's go back to food. You need money if you want to eat right. You want to buy kosher and halal foods. You want to go to the Amish market, the farmer's market. You're going to need a little money for that. If you plant your food, you need money to plant your seeds. It's much cheaper to pull up through the drive-through at your local fast food restaurant. Eat off the dollar menu. Maybe get you some plastic that you think are French fries and meat that's got all kind of chemicals in it to the point where it ain't even meat anymore. Bread that's so fake that it really just looks like bread and it's dyed a certain color so you think it's bread. Because you're getting it for $1, brothers and sisters. You're getting it for $5. If you go to the grocery store and get all of the ingredients that you need in order to make a cheeseburger and some French fries, it's going to be more than $1. It's going to be more than $5. So if these people are mass producing this food, then they have to put certain preservatives and certain chemicals in the food so that it can last. It's got to be able to make it from China. Even sometimes when you buy food that was grown organic, you need to double check because was it shipped organic? Did they spray it along the trucking route to make sure that it would make it to its destination? But you need money to be able to make those choices. So the first step in marrying your spirituality with business is understanding that you cannot be a hypocrite about money. You need money in order to have that freedom and to have those have the choices that you want to make the choices that you want to make. You want to be able to buy books so that you can study and learn. You want to be able to support righteous projects like you see scrolling across the bottom of the screen here, sajdahhouse.com. Support the renovation and restoration of the former home of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad through the purchasing of these commemorative Elijah coins. You want to be able to become a part of history. You want to participate in projects like that. You want to be able to eat well, dress nice, look nice. You want to be able to share your money and your rewards with your friends and your family members. You want to be able to help your family. You want to be able to make sure that your loved ones don't have to suffer. So money is very important. So stop dissing money in the name of being spiritual. And it's really all usually, Sister Yavanka, very hypocritical, because usually those highly spiritual people sometimes are the ones who will rip you off at the drop of a dime, because they've really been faking about how they don't like money or they don't want money. So when they get money, they act like a crackhead. They start scratching and itching. Oh my God, oh my God. Start trying to take things and manipulate and talking slick. When you combine that with the business models that they learn looking at the streets, now you start hearing the pimp talk, start seeing the game coming. And the game comes before the scriptures. The game comes before the spirituality. We're talking about unraveling all of that, giving ourselves new business models, new ways to do business so that we can be conscious and spiritual. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. All right. So next question. Let me grab it here. This is from Sister Alita. She offered us a loaded question, but wait, let me make sure there aren't any others here. Sister Alicia Kelly said, why can't the Black Muslims produce the fast food, i.e. healthy, based on how to eat to live for $1? Because the resources required to produce the food are more than likely going to cost you more than $1. That just isn't economically, that's not even an economically savvy thing to attempt, because it's going to cost you more than $1, especially if you want it to be fast food. When you're cooking and creating meals that are wholesome and that are based on using real food, they take time. So the time you're going to have to, it may take more than an hour. So you're going to have to pay whoever's cooking it more than $1 an hour. It's going to cost you more than $1 to grow it. Then you have to consider, how do I store this food? Because if I'm purchasing organic or halal or kosher food, it's not going to last 6 months. Like this other so-called food that we get that has all these chemicals in it. So it's not even possible to produce that kind of food for $1. You might be able to get a big trough of navy bean soup and maybe. But even if you're doing that in your restaurant, you have labor, you have overhead, you have your ingredients that go into the bean soup, you have all your utilities and all those things. So it would be really tough. Really, really tough. Okay. Next question. Let's see. This is from Sister Alita. Let's do Alita's question next, because hers is pretty lengthy. I just put it here in the chat. It's long, so I'm going to read it. Her question said, it's a great, great question. Part 9 addresses the underlying condition needed in every business and social activity which deals with truth. Number 9 in this part states that every action which is not in harmony with truth, whether through ignorance or design, will result in discord and eventual loss in its extent and character. It goes on in number 10 to ask the question, how then are we to know the truth in order to attach this mechanism which will relate us or connect us to the infinite? She said, I've read this section twice to the end, and it continues to state the importance of truth, but it doesn't give much around how to discern what one may see as truth and what really is truth. In other words, we can't manifest if our premise of truth is inaccurate. Please discuss how to align rightly. Okay, so what she's talking about is learning how to recognize truth and make that the basis of your decisions. And how do you know that you're on the right path? Let me know, Sister Alita, if that kind of sums up your question. In part 11, the author talks about mathematical thinking processes. And so that's why the author starts to talk to us about how to think. You know how we learned that Islam is mathematics and mathematics is Islam? Then drilling down on that a little bit more in the silo, if you will, of thought processes, there are different thought processes that are mathematical. And those techniques you will use in your decision making, like inductive reasoning or deductive reasoning or critical thinking. Any of those different types of thought processes you will use once you learn them at different points in time, because you want to be able, you're going to have a lot of data. So what we're talking about is thinking on a scientific level. You have a bunch of data, and how do you determine what data makes sense? Well, or how do you solve for the unknown data? You do that mathematically through the way you apply the thinking process in terms of how you analyze the data. So I also put down here, I wrote down several answers to your questions, because again, this is another one that has a lot of layers. So not only is it your thinking process in terms of how you think and learning to think mathematically versus thinking emotionally, thinking mathematically. Okay. The second part of that is understanding the laws of the universe and how to apply them. We talked extensively in one course about cause and effect. So now you have all this data and you're like, okay, here's the effect. And you can get all polytheistic and start worshiping the effect. But it's just like when you go to the doctor. You come in and you present maybe with a stuffy nose and a stomach ache. So then they go through a process of ruling out. It's a mathematical process. They want to rule out a cold. They want to rule out the flu. They want to rule out food poisoning. So they're going to ask you questions so that they can use deductive reasoning to get down to a couple of factors, and then they can determine what tests to give you. What they're really trying to do is they're not over here, they shouldn't be over here focused so much on the effect, especially if you're stable. They want to go to the cause. And we always want to remember this in business as we're moving forward and trying to solve problems. Don't get stuck worshiping the effect or the problem. Go directly to the root or to the cause. Here's a way you can think about it. Let's say you're in business and you're not getting the results that you like. Then instead of harping on the fact that I'm just not getting the results that I want, what you want to do is say, okay, my cause must be off. So let me ask myself a series of questions. Why am I doing this? What's my reason for doing it? What am I relying on that I think is truth, but it isn't really? So I start using critical thinking and comparison and analysis, cause and effect, deductive reasoning, inductive reasoning, as I start to climb my way out of the hole and through to my problem. Then there's the laws given to us in the supreme wisdom. That has to be your base. So you always have to have a pivot point, right? You always want to go back and say, okay, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said this or that. Allah said this or that in the Holy Quran. I heard the minister say this or that. And this is for those of us where this is our base knowledge of thinking. We are looking at that as our foundation. That's our pivot point. So I don't care if we're writing a new policy at work. What's the underlying supreme wisdom principle that is going to be woven into that policy and procedure? So supreme wisdom as your basis. Then you have to know and study yourself. That way you know how to read your own body and your own solar plexus. And you strengthen the God within by hearing what's right and wrong. See, a lot of us are living other than ourselves, so we can't discern truth from falsehood because we can't even trust our own body to tell us if what we're dealing with is true or not. So again, going back to the teachings accepting your own and knowing yourself, giving yourself that foundation, that baseline, and then studying yourself. How do you generally feel when somebody's not telling you the truth? How do you generally feel when something just ain't right? If you're thinking about closing that deal and right before you get ready to close it, experience will begin to tell you, am I on? Am I off? Should I be doing this? Should I not be doing this? So studying yourself and knowing yourself. And then always seeking guidance from Allah. Whenever I make a decision, I sit down on that prayer rug. Sometimes I'm walking to my car and I got to make a decision. I'll ask Allah, what do you think? This is what I was thinking about doing. Send me a sign if you think that makes sense. Let me see you if you think I shouldn't do that. And then the signs start coming. I ask for forgiveness on a regular basis. Allah, please forgive me for any mistakes that I've made. Please forgive me if I did something that I shouldn't have done. Please forgive me if I'm relying on somebody that you've already demonstrated to me that I shouldn't be relying on. Help me. Forgive me. Forgive me for not asking you. So by seeking forgiveness, I'm constantly clearing the slate. I already asked for forgiveness for that. That's gone. So now I'm using that mind, body, and spirit connection to be able to read my body and read and discern for the truth. So when I'm going through those mathematical thinking processes, cause and effect, deductive reasoning, inductive or deductive thinking, reasoning, whatever process I'm using, process of elimination, whatever I'm using, solving for the X, algebraic, whatever I'm using, I now am bringing in my spirituality. I'm bringing Allah into it. And there we go again with marrying the business with the spiritual. I hope that answers your question. Let me know if it is. Here's another question somebody sent. They wanted to be anonymous. Oh no, I think this is the second part of yours, Sister Alita. You talked about moving past blind spots. See, here's the thing. As we move from this level to this level to this level to this level, we're always going to have blind spots. We're never going to be able to see everything. We can never get it done. We can never exhaust the wisdom of Almighty God Allah. All we can do is keep exploring and keep studying and keep learning and keep being grateful and doing what? Beginning and continuing. So as we move to each level, we solve this problem, we put this puzzle piece together, we go, okay, got that in there. This one works. Now we step on that, we go to the next one. And here's another puzzle for us to solve. Here's another way for us to rely on Allah. Here's another way for us to ask for forgiveness. Here's another way for us to align ourselves. Here's another way as our business begins to elevate, as we begin to elevate. There's always an expanded opportunity, an additional opportunity to get closer and closer and closer and closer to Almighty God, Allah. So the blind spots are part of the process because there's a space in there where we talk about getting out up over your skis into that zone where you ain't safe, where if Allah ain't got you, then you in trouble. That's a blind spot because you don't know what to do. And that's where you get to the point where you get really accustomed to relying on Allah and you start building that execution and that manifestation muscle that makes you go and seek counsel from Him. So we'll never be completely safe if we're continuing to strive to do what we showed up on the planet to do, because each and every one of us are special. We have authentic gifts, and God brought us here because He has something He wanted to say through you and I. And so our very essence of who we are is an expression of our Creator. He's expressing himself through the essence of who we are, our skin color, our facial shape, our hands, the way our shoulders are, the way our body moves. Everything is an expression of who he is and what he wanted to say. And so our goal is to study that and perfect that and to continue to allow himself to make himself known through us. So we're going to always have blind spots because we'll never have all the answers. The idea is to keep going, keep searching, and keep beginning. Yes, that's where faith comes in. That's exactly right. Okay, so somebody else who did not want to be named asked this question. As a woman, how do you manage or recognize men when they are trying to control you? That's a loaded question, right? How do you recognize or manage men when they are trying to control you? All right, so here's the deal. You know, you have those isms that are outlined in our study guides. You know, you got sexism and racism and all these isms. But in order to be down to the modern times, you have to understand this, that some people have masculine dominant energy and some people have feminine dominant energy. And it doesn't always matter whether or not they're a man or a woman. So if you get caught up in thinking that only men are going to try to control you and only men are going to be conducting themselves in a way that you may interpret as sexism, then you're going to make a mistake, because you have a lot of women out here who function with masculine energy. And so control, which is something you asked about specifically, is not something that we can say is relegated to just men. A lot of people will try to control you. People use all kinds of techniques. They use, and let me tell you what happens. When you, and we're gonna talk about this in terms of being a successful woman, since I'm assuming that that's what you are in your question. But it applies to men as well. So when you're a successful person, you have your core circle of people and influences, and then you have what I call these concentric circles, okay? A lot of times when people are trying to control you, they start to try to erode the concentric circles of protection that you have around you. You'll see people falling by the wayside in your circles because somebody around the way is biting on them and trying to control you. You're the ultimate prize. And you have to remember that people mimic what they see. So we talked about that pimp mentality in business. We talked about the hustler mentality. We've talked about the drug dealing mentality. We've talked about the predatory capitalist mentality. We've talked about the bully mentality, the manipulative mentality. We have all these different mentalities that people use in business, and they will use that in an attempt to try to control you. So I think the better question, you said, how do you manage and recognize? If you don't mind, I'm going to change your question up a little bit. I think the better question is, how do you stay the course? That is your course. Whatever your plan of action is, how do you do that? And the question is, number one, always remember that you want to begin and continue. Number two, you can't fall for the okie doke. Don't fall for the okie doke. If you see that someone is being manipulative, or if they hit you with a blind spot and you just don't know that they're being manipulative, if what you're doing and your goal is front and center and what you want for yourself, and you're doing all those steps that we talked about in Aletha's question, you're doing all of that, you're going to know. You're going to see the game when it's on its way to you. You're going to see the game before it even gets to you. And because you know, you'll be able to calmly sit there and listen. Because listen, people are where they are. We can't force anybody to treat us a certain way. We can't force anybody to love us. We can't force anybody to give us something that they don't want to give us. We can't force anybody to react to us the way that they just don't want to react to us. So when you sit there and you observe, let them show you who they are. And once they show you, then know that. See, when you get into the whole concept of controlling and manipulating, now you're in a position where you can't discern truth from falsehood because you've created this fake scenario and the person that you're dealing with is fake. And all your calculations are based on that fake person. So in answer to your question, you can't play the controlling game. You can't use emotional blackmail. You can't emotionally hijack people in the name of you want to do it before they start controlling you. You sit back and you play a righteous game. You sit back and you base your behavior on truth. And then you can start to see it coming. And it's not just men. So you don't always have to put men in a box and say, these men act like this or that. There's a lot you could say about that. There's a lot of men who do act like that, but there's a lot of men who don't. There's a lot of women who act like that. There's a lot of women who don't. Some women are very manipulative and very masculine and very, very controlling. So it's not just men. And if you see yourself having a problem where you're attracting people who are attempting to control you, what I would say to you is take a look at yourself. Look in the mirror and say, what am I doing that makes these control freaks feel safe around me? What is it about me? Just like if you find people coming to you with negative gossip and stuff, you got to ask yourself, why do they find that it'd be okay to come talk to you about that? And I've had people come to me with stuff and I say, so what made you think that it was okay to do that? I remember one time I had gone through something and it was with a guy. And I asked my father a question, like I tried to ask it generically, like, why would a man do such and such? And he said, you got to ask yourself the question, what did you do to make him think that it was okay to do that? And I know that's tough because a lot of people are in abusive situations and things like that, but we really have to start beginning to take responsibility. I know that, and this is one thing that I say that might be a little bit controversial, but I'm going to say it anyway because I want to spark some thought. Oftentimes as women, we blame a lot of things on men. And oftentimes as women, we say, well, we repeat the minister's quote where he says, there's no such thing as a no good woman. She was only made that way by a no good man. That does not give us an excuse to be stupid. It doesn't give us an excuse to not lead with our eyes open. It doesn't give us an excuse to be manipulative. It doesn't give us an excuse to be controlling. It doesn't give us an excuse to emotionally blackmail people. It doesn't give us an excuse to give up responsibility for ourselves. It doesn't give us an excuse to give up on who we need to be and who we are and what energy we bring to the room when we walk into the room. And I'm not saying, and I'm not placing any blame on anybody that's in a position where they're abused or they've been hurt. What I'm saying is that we have to make sure that we are digging and going deep inside of ourselves. So when that particular situation happened to me, I had to ask myself, who am I right now? And I had to come to the conclusion, which I believe was right, that I didn't do a good job at representing myself. I didn't do a good job at representing who I am. Something in me was being phony, maybe because I really wanted this person to be around. Something in me was not being truthful. So I had to be honest with myself. And so that's just kind of my response to that person's question. And then we have one last question. This is a loaded question. He or she said, choosing a mate when you are successful must be difficult. Do you look for someone who can think, or someone who can protect, or someone who is the opposite from you? That's a loaded question. I like being around people who I can talk to. I can only answer this from my perspective. I like being around people who I can talk to, who I am compatible with, like we like the same things. Like I like to work out. I like to cook and clean and eat healthy meals, eat healthy, clean meals. I like adventures. I like hiking. I like music. So I like dealing in that space, whether it's friendships or in search of a potential mate, someone who likes some of those same things. Because I think it's just easier to hang out. It's easier to make it if y'all kind of like the same thing. If I like to work out and he don't care how big his gut gets or how big he is, he don't even want to move up off the couch, it's going to be tough. There's going to be some compatibility issues. If he can't support where I am in terms of my life, my accomplishments, who I am, if he doesn't get that I'm super sensitive, but at the same time, I'm a nurturer, if he doesn't understand that I believe that everybody in there should have someone in their life, for example, that spoils them to death. So I'm just giving you some of these compatibility things. And I think also someone who can think with you on that level. Now, if you're a neuroscientist, I'm not saying you got to marry a neuroscientist, but you should be looking for people who can think with you on your level. You know how they say, if you look around at the people who are around you, it tells you where you're going to go. Well, you don't want somebody who's going to help you start circling the drain. You want someone who's going to push you and elevate you and support you and help you get to that next level. And in turn, you get as much joy out of helping that person become successful. So I think in kind of digging a little bit deeper into this person's question, a lot of what we're seeing now on television is, in my opinion, quite challenging because it's like those of us who, I'm just going to go here, those of us that still like Black men and who really support and love Black men and who want a Black man who thinks on that level and does all those wonderful things that we can grow in, into our godhood together. Some of that's rare because in a lot of cases, we've given up on one another. And I see so much of that. I see so many people who DM me, even those of us who are, Muslims, Christians, Black Muslims, Black Christians, we, in a lot of cases, have given up on one another. And I get the DMs. I don't snitch on y'all, but I know that a lot of you all are thinking about that. Do I go to another culture? And there's coaching where people say, if you want to expand, go to another culture. But if you're looking for somebody from your culture and you want somebody from your tribe, so to speak, then I would say not to give up. And I say to try to be the best representation. My approach is to be the best representation of myself as I possibly can be, and to be beautiful and loving in my femininity, and to be a good person, and to love God, and love his way, and love who he is, and know, like I know, that he's going to send somebody that can meet those needs and then some, someone who will surprise you. And someone who can meet you on your level. And I think that might be where this person is going with this question. It was a little cryptic, because oftentimes, and when I say somebody who can meet you on your level, you all may not have the same income levels, but they got to be able to meet you mentally, spiritually. They can't be about that control. They can't be about, okay, let me beat you down so that I can hold you down until I can get where I got to go. You don't want to be in relationship with those kind of people, not even with friends, not even with a job that says, you know what, you're too smart for us to put you out front, so we're going to put you in the back, because we know if we put you out front, you're going to take over and win the world. You don't want people like that. So, I don't buy into the shortage of good Black men propaganda. I just don't, because I believe that Allah is making men every day. And if he make them every day, he can make one for me, you, and anybody else. So I would say, brother or sister, whoever you are, Allah is making men and women every single day. And he has the perfect capabilities of making the right one for you. You just keep going deeper into who you are, keep perfecting who you are, keep learning and keep growing, so that you'll be a match for that person that you have in your mind and in your heart that you're looking for. So I hope that answers your question. Before we go, let's see, what are some of y'all comments? People are saying they just want us to unite. Other people saying this is true. A lot of people are going to different cultures. Yeah, I know. Like-minded is so important. Like-minded is really critical. And sometimes people who think like you, I've had people who would try to like me or date me, and they just live a different lifestyle. They might be really great guys, but they just live a different lifestyle. And so it's tough. And so you might go, man, I like that person. They're really cool, but they just have a whole different lifestyle. And so you have to consider those things, as well. So you kind of got to have the same rhythm, right? Or at least the right rhythm, so y'all can make a beautiful song. Okay. Y'all know what? It's almost time to get some water and some food around here. I got one last little video for you guys that I want to play for you. In the meanwhile, I ask for you guys to give me your support. I need you all to go out there, share this show, like and subscribe to the page. Go to my social media pages and share the ads that I have on the renovation and restoration of the former home of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We've got some big things planned. I'm working night and day. We got all kinds of incredible digital memberships and NFTs, and it's just so much. And programming that I believe you all are going to really love. Virtual and in-person tours. We need your financial support to continue. So go to sajdahhouse.com. We're not trying to ask you for something for nothing. We are certainly going to give you, inshallah, an experience and some value, and help you become a part of this incredibly historic endeavor. So if you get this coin, you can wear it and represent it, bling it out, put some diamonds on it. If you get the coin, that's the graded one. I don't have one here by my desk, but if you get the graded coin, there's a registration number on the back. We only have so many of those. We only have 1,300 of those coins left, and they should go fast. You want to have that number on the back of there, because that's going to give you some free access to some of the membership levels that we're creating. You won't necessarily have to buy your way into everything if you have that registration number that's on the back of the coin. So when I say limited edition, they are truly limited edition. We've only got 1,300 of those left. We're hoping to get sold out of those in the next couple of weeks. So go to sajdahhouse.com. If you already have one, grab another one. They're made of copper from the messenger's home. So we literally took the copper off the house, melted it at 1,983 degrees. We created a mold and made these commemorative Elijah coins. They are rare. They are historical. They are an heirloom. What I've done is some of my friends that have had children recently or grandchildren, I said, you know what? Here's a coin, because 20 years from now, this coin is going to be so valued. This is actually an heirloom that you can pass on from generation to generation. And listen, if you all been paying attention to the markets, copper and cobalt, those are the hot things right now. Goldman Sachs came out and said that copper is the new oil. Why? Because General Motors is moving towards electric cars. Y'all see what's going on with the petrodollar. So the messenger gave us these commemorative Elijah coins, and this concept, and he had us make it out of copper. I believe that copper is a sign for the market as this system that we know of begins to unravel and to fall. So support us. You can purchase a coin. We only have 1,300 left. I'm putting it out there because I don't want to get emails from y'all after these 1,300 are gone. We previously did not open them up to people outside of our circle. We have recently put together some international marketing so that people internationally can get these coins. So it's not just us anymore. So get it before they get them, because they're going to want to hold on to a piece of that history, because they may not be able to come over here and go to the house. So get your commemorative Elijah coin. It's very, 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 very valuable. And, I just think you should have 3 or 4 in your collection. I have a coin collection that I actually inherited from my father. And so to add a coin like this, that's actually historical to that collection means a lot to me. So start your children at collecting valuables, art. These coins are both art and memorabilia, and they're absolutely, absolutely beautiful. So I can go on and on and on about the project and about the coins. I won't. All I'm asking is that if you support the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, you support me in what I'm doing, you support our efforts to continue to lift his name. We're grateful to the National Historic Preservation Society, who has now listed us as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House on the National Historic Registry. And let me tell you something, the sky is the limits. We are building an institution around this museum that is dedicated to the upliftment of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and sharing his work and his teachings and telling the true story and sparking a movement where we begin as Black people around the world controlling and monetizing our own culture. It's so very important, because so much of our culture happens on everyday blocks and everyday neighborhoods, and we drive past those homes and we don't even know who lived up in there back in the day. And I think that if we knew more of our history, we would do better and we would feel better about ourselves, and it won't be so difficult for us to discern between truth and falsehood. So, all right, I'm going to get out of here. But before I do, let me play this quick video from our brother, Kobe Bryant.
What I've learned is to always keep going. Always. No matter what happens, the storm eventually ends. And when the storm does end, you want to make sure that you're ready.
Y'all heard that right. We said it like this: always begin and continue. He said, keep going. So peace and blessings, everyone. I hope you enjoyed today. Let me know in the comments what you thought of today. Someone said, yes, such a wonderful evening with you and all of the family in the chat. Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you. Sister Alicia. Assalamu alaikum, sis. How are you? Man, thank you all. Loving this chat. Yes, being honest with ourselves. Yes, the idea is to just keep going. Keep going. Make sure you begin and make sure you continue. And no matter what happens, I don't care if you look like you feel like you're by yourself. I don't care if people are coming against you, if people are talking about you, if they're lying on you, if they're fishing around trying to find a lie so they can stop you. You keep going. You keep your eye on the prize and continue to continue. People ask me all the time, what was some of the makings of your success? I kept going. I kept going in the face of adversity, in the face of difficulty, in the face of mistakes. I just kept going and I keep going. So thank you all. I love you all. I appreciate your support. You can either make a donation on the Cash App. Let me put that on here for you guys. Or what you can do is you can donate to the former home of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I would really appreciate your donations there. We really want and need your support. You have no idea what your energy does for us, and especially what it does for me. Because in my opinion, to have the support of the very people that Allah Himself chose is humbling, to say the very least. So thank you to everyone who has posted and reposted about the coins, about the house, and those who stopped by just to take pictures. We are working and ramping up to be able to bring this beautiful experience right to your home through virtual tours and then in person when you come in and get to experience it. All right, so I'm out of here, family. Peace and blessings. I love you. I am so thirsty and so hungry. And so I'm going to go and break my fast right now. So assalamu alaikum and Ramadan Mubarak.